If you're clicking this video, it's because you're having the same problem that I had just a few days ago. You're trying to get more than one Lambda function to be notified on an Amazon S3 event. It might be a put object, it might be something else, but you're trying to trigger more than one Lambda function as a result of that event. If you're trying to use Amazon S3 event notification, well, you came to the realization that doesn't work, right? So we're going to discuss how we can overcome the challenge actually using Amazon Event Bridge. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, don't worry, I'm going to explain what the problem is. But if you already have this problem and just want to see the solution, feel free to jump to the right section looking at the marks below. All right, my name is Rafael Bottino, and this is one episode of RafaBot Cloud Tips. First, let's replicate the problem. As you can see, we have a bucket on screen, but we also have two different Lambda functions, right? Let's try to, through the dashboard, to set up an event notification between the bucket and the first Lambda function. So first, let's try to add the trigger here. We want to select an Amazon S3 bucket as the source. We're going to pick our bucket. We want for all objects, and have in mind that this challenge is only going to happen if we have two identical source events that we want to send to more than one target, right? If we had different events, we would be able to achieve that. But we have just one similar event that we want to target more than one Lambda function here. So same prefix, same suffix, we're not going to change those. And we want for all object create events. We need to check this box. And that's pretty much it. So if we go back to the bucket and we try to upload an object. So if I try to add my beautiful profile picture here and upload. So now that the upload was successful, we can go back to the Lambda function. We can go to monitor, go to CloudWatch logs, and we can see that this event was triggered. Okay? Really simple. It worked. So now let's go to the second Lambda function and let's try to do the same thing, right? To have it triggered on any kind of action or object created on this bucket. So if I go back to that Lambda, do the same thing, clicking add trigger, select the source as Amazon S3. We have the same bucket picked. We have the same thing going on here, all object create events. No prefix, no suffix filtering. Checking that box and clicking add. We're going to see an error. Configurations overlap. Configurations on the same bucket cannot share a common event type. That's the problem here, right? We want to make sure that we are capable of adding a second bucket. So, all right, we found the problem. Let's go to the solution. All right, I have two Lambda functions here. For those that followed us replicating the problem, you can see that I removed the trigger from the first one. So we're starting from scratch pretty much. And the second one also doesn't have a trigger. Let's see how we can have both of them being triggered. We actually need to open another page here. We're going to open the Event Bridge page. Event Bridge, for those that are not aware, is pretty much a serverless service for building event-driven application, and that's exactly what we're going to do here, right? We want to build an event-driven reaction to the action of putting an object in that bucket, right? So let's go to rules. Let's go to create rule. And we're going to have, of course, a meaningful name here. Multiple Lambda notification test. Have the same for the description here. And now we're going to pick, and should be picked by default for you here, for you there as well, rule with an event pattern, right? Now we can pick different things here for the event source. What we're going to have here is AWS events or event bridge partner events, because of course we're picking Amazon S3. So we're going to leave as it is. We're going to pick AWS events, and then we're going to pick Amazon, the simple storage service S3, and we're going to have object created, right? Here you can see an example of what an object created event looks like in EventBridge. There will be things like what is the resource, right? What is the bucket? Or information about the object. So you could even potentially filter for just some specific metadata of the object, like its key name or even its size, why not, right? So if we scroll down here, we should pick use pattern form, just to simplify what we're trying to achieve here. Feel free to play with the other options as well as you mature your usage of EventBridge. But if we pick that one, we can easily pick AWS services here, then S3, event notification, specific events, and we're going to have object created, and specific buckets by name. And then we're going to come here, copy the bucket name, go back here, and then click and add. Before I do that though, see how we have a notice here. S3 event notifications will only match your rules if you have configured your S3 buckets to publish event notifications to EventBridge. Have that in mind. So we have that finished. We're going to click next. In the target, we're going to pick Lambda, right? Lambda function. And we're going to pick our notified on put object, right? But we can have more than one target here. We can click and add another target, pick again Lambda, and now we can pick notified on put object 2, right? So now we have both of them as targets of that action. If we click next, we can add tags. Of course, I would recommend doing that. And that's pretty much it. We have the rule created. However, if I try and put an object there now, it wouldn't work because of that note that we read before. So we need to go back to our bucket. We need to go to properties. And then we need to scroll down all the way up to the Amazon EventBridge configuration. Click and add it. As you're going to see, by default, all buckets are created with this option set to off. We need to edit that, change it to on, save changes, and that's it. So let's try it out. So if you come back here, try to upload the same file again or new file. As you might know, for Amazon S3, if you're rewriting an object, that's another put object action. So that's going to trigger our event anyway, our event rule, better saying. If I click upload, that's it, upload it. So what we can do now is actually check our second Lambda function. Go to monitor, view CloudWatch logs. And now we have an event here, right? It just ran. Just to make sure that we just ran, we're going to go to back to the first Lambda function, monitor, view CloudWatch logs. And we should have then with a similar, if not identical, timestamp. So 13/10/44, 13/10/44. So that's it. We were able to trigger 2 different Lambda functions with the same event using Amazon EventBridge rules. I hope that tip was helpful to you. See you next time. Bye.